Hey, Ignite, what's up? I am Pastor Rob, and I have the awesome privilege of being the Fuse College pastor here at Ignite, and I'm so excited that I get to join you today and kind of bring some word into your life and on your devices wherever you're watching. But today I want to share a story with you that it's one of my favorite stories because it reminds me of so many good lessons throughout it. But many years ago, I had these friends who they had been saving up for a very long time to build their dream house. And so they had finally saved up enough and they got to build this beautiful home. Absolutely gorgeous, the way they had always dreamed of it. It was perfect in every single way. They poured over every detail throughout the whole process. And so they finally got to move into it. And they move in, they stay there for about 2 weeks, and they go on this weekend vacation. Now they're away just a couple days. And when they come back home, they find that their house has been completely flooded. I mean, thousands of dollars of damage had been caused. And so many things had been ruined in their brand new dream house. And they were just devastated. They had just finished spending so much money on it. And now they have to do all these repairs and fix all of this flood damage. And they're like, what happened? We just built this. Like, what broke? What caused all this flooding? It wasn't like it was this massive rainstorm or anything, or a hurricane came through. No, and so they investigated and they were looking around what happened. And when they found out what caused it, they were shocked. Why? Because it was something so small and so simple. The item that broke, that caused this, it was one of these. And if you've never seen one of these, it's a pipe clamp. And it takes 20 seconds to tighten it down. So it takes a hose and attaches it to a pipe. And you put this clamp around it and it makes sure that the water going through it doesn't come out. Now, some plumber that was doing work there didn't take the full 30 seconds it takes to make sure this thing is tight. And that hose came off and it flooded their house. There's just water gushing from it. See, God calls us to be faithful in the small things in our life. Just like in that, where the plumber didn't take the 30 seconds to make sure that this small little item wasn't tight and wasn't doing the fullest of its job, it caused so much damage. And we see that in Luke 16:10, where it says, whoever can be trusted with very little can also be trusted with much. And whoever is dishonest with very little will also be dishonest with much. You see, God has given us all things in our lives that he has asked us to be faithful with. And the challenge that we face every day is, okay, am I going to be faithful in them? And the thing is, oftentimes, those things that we ought to be faithful with seem so small. They seem so small and they seem almost insignificant, but they add up to so much. And if we don't do them every single day, if we don't take that time to pray and to press in to his word every day, it surmounts to something catastrophic. It can become this thing that can destroy us. And so making sure that we take time every single day to really dive in and go, okay, Lord, what have you already put in my hands? And how am I going to be faithful with it? It also reminds me of the story that you find in Matthew 25, where it's the parable of the talents, where Jesus is giving this story of these 3 servants who are given these bags of money from their master, and their master goes away. And what we see happen when the master comes back, he asks all of them to report, okay, what have you done with what I've given you? The one who he gave 5 to comes back with 10. It says, look, I've doubled what you've given me. The one who he gave 3 with comes back with 6 and says, look, I put it to work. I did things with what you gave me. Now, the one who had been given a single bag, he comes back with only a single bag of money. And the master is furious with him. He's like, what did you do with this? Were you faithful in the small things? But what that guy did was he looked around and he said, you've given them so much more than you've given me. And so my little doesn't really matter. I want to make sure that I protect this one small little thing. And so I'm not going to do anything with it. And what Jesus is saying is, no. I've given you exactly what I need to give you. So the rest is in your hands. What are you going to do with it? And so my challenge for you now is, what are you doing with the small things? How are you being faithful in the small things that Jesus has given you, even in the mundane? Don't get lazy. Don't just let them go to the wayside, but actually hone in on them and check what's already in your hand. What are things in your life already that you can be pouring more time into, that you can be putting to use better? And how are you being faithful just in those small things? And for me, it's a reminder. And so I actually keep a host clamp on my rings, on my key ring. It's a small little reminder that I can take my small amount of time today to make sure that I have what I need and that I'm not going to have this catastrophic flooding in my life later down the road. And so be faithful in the small things.